198 polling stations in Malava constituency as the IEBC completes final preparations for the upcoming by-elections. 7 candidates will
the death of Malulu Injendi, who was the Member of Parliament here. A heated contest over the last 2 months, pitting 7 contestants against each other. And we've seen also some of them withdraw from the race. Initially, they were 9, and they've come down to 6 that will be on the ballot tomorrow. And of course, we've seen a 2-horse race playing out all through. And this is between Seth Panyako of the DAPK party and David Ndakwa of the UDA party. So Ayub, already this evening we've had the IEBC constituency returning officer, that is Salim Abdallah Salim, speaking to us and telling us that already they have distributed the voting materials to all 198 polling stations across Malava constituency, which has 7 wards. And so tomorrow it's all systems go really, as we will be waking up as early as 6 a.m. in the morning at the polling station just to look at how the voters will be casting their vote, as well as how the process will be going on throughout the day. But also it's important to mention that security has been bolstered across the constituency. We've had reports, minor reports really, of chaotic scenes during the campaign trail, but right now we've seen police swinging into action, and the security has been bolstered, and lots of moving around in the constituency by the police officers, and men in uniform also will be manning the polling stations. 2 police officers per polling station, just to ensure, Ayub and Olive, that everything runs smoothly throughout the day. Tomorrow, Ayub, of course, we expect action in the polling stations, and of course later on where we will have the tallying of the votes after the voting process throughout the day, and that will bring us now to the climax of the events that have been unfolding for the past 2 months, and that is finally knowing who is the winner. And of course tomorrow there will be triumph, and as well as political lessons learnt in humility, because there must be a winner and there must be a loser. So we will be waiting to see the results of all that as how it plays out tomorrow. So Ayub, tomorrow we are keen on the Form 35A, which will be signed at the polling stations, and then we will be having Form 35B, which will be signed at the constituency tallying center by the returning officer Salim Abdallah Salim, and thereafter we shall be having the Form 35C, which is essentially the certificate that will be handed over to the winner of the poll. Ayub.
In Ugunja constituency, preparations have been finalized ahead of the parliamentary by-election on Thursday. IEBC Vice Chairperson Fahima Abdallah assessed the distribution of election material from the constituency tallying center, where security officers were also assigned to their specific duty stations. And Ayub, over to you.
Laura joins us from Ugunja in the county of Siaya. And evening to you, Laura. How easy has it been for the Commission with the distribution of the ballot materials?
Well, Ayub, from morning there have been consultations between the various presiding officers, the deputies, and the constituency returning officer who was basically giving a brief, some sort of final touches, because their training began yesterday, and then all through to today, he was telling us that they were keen to ensure that everybody understands what is required of them, because as of tomorrow from 6 a.m., the doors will be opening for 60,114 registered voters to exercise their democratic right of electing their representative to the August House after Opiyo Wandayi was appointed, and subsequently taking the energy docket. So it was some sort of a smooth process, because we saw this material being distributed. The vice chairperson of the commission was also around, and she was saying that she is confident that the commission will be in a position to deliver a free, fair, credible and verifiable by-election, saying that this is some sort of litmus test that will be showing Kenyans that they can have faith in the commission. So earlier on, we spoke to the returning officer, the security officials, and even the IEBC top creme de la creme, and this is what they had to say regarding the preparations for tomorrow.
There are ways that we've devised. In 2022, we were not using the face, the picture, to identify, or rather to check the validity of a voter who has come. So this time round, we are doing that. When your fingerprints cannot detect, we go further and now look for your face within the machine. The only assurance I was giving you, I should give the voters, is that nobody who is not registered as a voter will be allowed to vote.
We have security in place, and therefore their only clarion call is let them go to the voting, leave the station, go back to their family and their farms. We shall be available across. But for those who are intending contrary, they will meet the full force of the law.
And then the other thing, as a commission, we are also stressing is that we are going to ensure we will do a lot of voter education. We have to tell the people after this by-election towards preparations of general election what it needs to be done and how people need to do. Once we understand, then I'm sure we are going to have a very peaceful general election and everyone will be happy.
Well, indeed, it's all systems go. A total of 67 polling centers across the 3 wards of Sigomre, Sidindi and Ugunja, which is the largest ward. And we will be bringing our viewers up to speed as regards the by-elections in Ugunja constituency here in Siaya County.
Let's take a look now at the candidates who are contesting the Baringo senatorial seat, and the number of registered voters in the county are 281,053. These are the Moja na Maendeleo Party. Ayub.
Elsewhere, preparations for the Baringo County Senate by-election have been finalized, setting the stage for voters to head to the polls on Thursday. By Wednesday evening, election officials had completed the distribution of ballot papers and other materials to all the polling stations across the county, ensuring everything is in place for tomorrow's exercise, as Marian Nyambura now tells us in the following report.
Security has been heightened ahead of Thursday's by-election in Baringo County, where voters will elect a new senator, following the passing of Senator William Cheptumo in February this year. The County Security Committee has reassured residents of their safety during the vote. Baringo County Commissioner Stephen Kutwa said there would be ample security, including in areas often perceived as insecure.
Tumeweza kudeploy officers wetu katika kila maeneo kuona kwamba mambo ya usalama imeweza kuimarishwa, na tunawaambia wananchi kwamba waweze kujitokeza kwa wingi ili waweze exercise their right ya kupiga kura. Hakuna hofu yoyote katika maeneo yoyote, 6 constituencies, 10 sub-counties, security iko imara.
Kutwa added that adequate security has been provided across the county, with no special arrangements for areas considered hotspots. In Tiaty constituency, he urged residents to come out and vote.
Tumeweza kudeploy officers wawili katika kila kituo. Tuko na vituo 1029 na tumeweza kupata officers wa kuweza kuona kwamba wameweza kupeleka IBC officers katika ile maeneo apart from wale
Baringo Central IEBC returning officer Gilbert Serem says presiding officers and clerks are already stationed at their respective centers.
As we speak now, we are on top of things. We are ready. We are currently dispatching all our officers, the presiding officers, the deputy presiding to the various polling stations. And in Baringo Central, we have 142 polling stations.
6 candidates will be on the ballot, each hoping to secure the Senate seat. Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Preparations for the Magarini by-election are complete, with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission saying they will deliver a free and fair by-election. IEBC Commissioner Alutalala Mukwana says the commission has made sure everything required is in order, with security enhanced in all areas ahead of Thursday's by-election. Francis Mtalaki Ayub, as I understand it, has more.
Yes, he joins us from Magarini in Kilifi County. Francis, good evening. Also in Commissioner Dr. Alutalala Mukwana.
Well, many thanks. What we've been able to observe today is that there's a lot of transparency, given that the accusations that were being made by the DCP party leader. Today, the IEBC conducted the exercise led by the IEBC Commissioner Alutalala Mukwana, who also assured voters and residents of Magarini in constituency in Kilifi County, saying that they will be able to conduct a free and fair by-election come tomorrow, and urging residents and voters, to be specific, to turn out in large numbers in terms of the exercise that is anticipated tomorrow. And a total of 10 candidates are expected to square it out tomorrow, come Thursday from 6 a.m. According to the IEBC officials, all the ballot boxes and ballot materials have been dispatched to their respective polling stations.
Early Wednesday morning, final preparations were in high gear at the Mapimo Technical Institute in Gongoni Ward, Magarini constituency, Kilifi County. Presiding officers and their deputies arrived as the process of issuing electoral materials began. The exercise, which included the issuance of polling booths and the opening of ballot paper packages in full view of all present, showed the images and names of candidates inside, with police officers, Magarini returning officer Joseph Mafondo, and IEBC Commissioner Alutalala Mukwana supervising the exercise. What followed was the sorting of the ballot papers into 2 ballot boxes, the list arranged carefully according to the 6 wards and 193 polling stations in Magarini. The IEBC Commissioner Alutalala Mukwana assuring all of a free and fair by-election and asking the 80,128 registered voters to turn out and elect their member of parliament.
Hata kule Adu, Marereni, kokote kule, Sabaki, haijalishi ni wapi, hawa maafisa wetu wametayarisha vilivyo. Magari yapo pale kwenye maegesho, mmeyaona, tayari kuhakikisha kwamba hivi vyote vinafika kwenye vituo kwa wakati.
Given that many view the by-elections as a major test for the newly appointed commissioners as the country heads toward 2027.
Kipya kinyemi bwana. Na usiongeze japo kidonda, maana hakuna kidonda. Sisi tutafanya kwa wajibu wetu, tutahakisha kwamba na ijue kwamba kifagio kipya hufagia vema. Ha? Sasa sisi isiwe tu kwamba sisi tuko katika mtihani. Sisi tuko hapa, mawazo mapya, nguvu mpya.
Over 850 poll officials have been dispatched across 193 polling stations, with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission urging voters to turn out in large numbers from 6 a.m. on Thursday. Francis Mtulaki, Citizen TV, Magarini, Kilifi County.
A section of the UDA leadership has accused the united opposition, led by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, of planning to create chaos in tomorrow's Mbeere North by-election, while also blaming the government for the unrest. Security has since been beefed up across Embu County, with police mounting roadblocks on all major routes into and out of the area. As you'll hear now from our political affairs reporter Emmanuel To, the IEBC has completed the dispatch
in a quick rejoinder following the flurry of accusations from the United Opposition Brigade. The lead led by UDA chairperson and Embu Governor Mbarire have launched
specific plan for career. You cannot use force or intimidation for people.
And this harm was caused by
that the president to ensure that the by-elections are held without interference or breach of security, law and order.
First of all, we have shared the names and telephone numbers of all those goons who have come from outside Embu County.
This comes as police officers have ramped up security across Embu County, setting up roadblocks on major routes, including the Nairobi-Embu Road, Embu-Meru Road, and other key roads in the Ishara area. The police checks have caused significant traffic congestion into Embu town as officers read in from other counties. Inside the makeshift IEBC headquarters at Siakago Girls High School, a similar process was underway as over 300 police officers received their final marching orders, with the Embu County Police Commander assuring residents of a peaceful polling day on Thursday.
Wananchi wote wa Mbeere tunawahakikishia usalama. Watakuwa salama popote walipo, manyumbani zao, wakuje wapige kura. Usalama umeimarishwa kila mahali.
This comes as the IEBC completed the deployment of election officials to all 134 polling stations across the constituency.
Kituo huwa tunakuwa na askari wawili, maafisa wawili, na kama vile ambavyo utaona hapo nje tuna wakubwa wetu wa security ambao wametupanga.
Security preparedness seems to have overshadowed any other level of readiness for the polls in Mbeere North constituency tomorrow, with the police leaving no stone unturned to ensure the polls are free from violence and are delivered peacefully. Emmanuel To, Citizen TV, Embu County.
Staying with matters, integrity of the polls, the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says only accredited persons will be allowed into polling stations and tallying centers, adding that no one will be in areas after many touring count.
Joins us from Kasipul in Homa Bay County, where the CS was in the company of the chairperson of the commission, Erastus Edung Ethekon. Gatete, in what tone did he say, and what in your view might have prompted this statement by the CS?
Good evening, Ayub and Olive. Yeah, we are here in Kasipul, and we understand the CS together with the chairperson of IEBC. They had come here specifically to give an assurance to residents that with Murkomen urging residents to vote and leave.
With hours to the by-election, Kosele in Kasipul played host to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen and IEBC Chairman Erastus Ethekon. The two men charged with ensuring not just a free, fair and credible election, but also a safe environment for voters to elect their leaders. Murkomen training his guns on politicians he says are planning to use goons to cause chaos.
These people who are going to Kisumu, to Nairobi and to other counties to hire and recruit goons to come and disrupt elections here and other places, whether it is Siaya, Malava, and Mbere or Kariobangi. I want to tell them that don't try that. We are going to take very stern action.
With the opposition leaders calling on their supporters to guard the votes for their candidates, the Interior CS says they will not entertain loitering near polling stations and tallying centers.
Says you are right peacefully. Once you vote, go home. There is no business that you are protecting any vote. We will not allow loitering around polling stations in the name of
the elections, and until the candidates who win successfully are sworn in.
On the violence witnessed in Kasipul on November 6th, police say they are yet to apprehend the suspects behind the chaos, but investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, IEBC chairperson Erastus Ethekon, who attended a security briefing before inspecting the commission's preparedness in the constituency, reiterated that the IEBC will not hesitate to take action against anyone found violating election laws.
As a new commission, because we have zero tolerance on any election malpractice, including violence, because our constitution decrees that elections must be free from harassment, violence, intimidation, and of course malpractices such as bribery.
The electoral body chairman added that the commission is open to addressing any complaints raised by parties involved in the exercise and assured that the by-election will be conducted in a free, fair and credible manner. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Kasipul.
We have some more information on the candidates in Malava as well as the number of registered voters. But before we get into those, the United Opposition, led by Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa, have accused the government of plotting to rig Thursday's by-elections. They claim that 30,000 pre-marked ballot papers have already been prepared for use in Bere, Magarini and Malava. They also allege a broader plan to incite violence using hired goons. This comes as the government withdrew security for Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale and Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, a move condemned by leaders led by ODM Deputy Party Leader Simba Arati. With that report is Willie Lusige.
With just hours to go before by-election polling begins across several constituencies, the opposition is sounding the alarm over what it describes as a state-backed plot to steal the vote.
We are further aware that 30,000 pre-marked ballots have already been dispatched to the targeted battleground areas of Magarini, Malava, and Bere North through compromised presiding officers. This strikes at the heart of electoral integrity.
According to the opposition, the operation will be allegedly be executed by plainclothes police officers and hired goons ferried from Nairobi's Kayole and Kikuyu in Kiambu, intended to cause chaos and stash ballots in Bere, Malava and Narok.
Those plainclothes officers is a tool for ballot stuffing. IBC has given ballot papers to government agencies that have been pre-marked. And the plan in Bere North is that 1,500 gangsters from Kayole and Gikambura in Kikuyu are in Bere. And their mission is to create chaos. In that situation of chaos, the pre-marked ballots will be put into the ballot boxes.
They also allege that plans are underway to arrest key United Opposition leaders tonight in an effort to intimidate their supporters.
Mheshimiwa Senator Halwale is targeted for arrest. Tunajua kuanzia usiku huu niko natafutwa. Senator Cleo Malala, Governor Natembeya na viongozi ambao wanaongoza campaign zetu. Hii njama wanataka waweze kutisha wananchi wasijitokeze kupiga kura wakisikia viongozi wao wameshikwa.
Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen had warned that anyone attempting to disrupt the election will face full force of the law. The opposition, however, has dismissed this warning as a tactic to intimidate voters and their leaders.
It is the police who are in a scheme with IBC to steal these elections. And that is why he is asking people to keep away, so that the police can actually get the pre-marked ballots inside the ballot box. People cannot keep away. It is the people's election. It's their right.
The move to withdraw security from Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale and Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya has drawn sharp criticism nationwide. Council of Governors Security Committee Chair and ODM Deputy Party Leader Simba Arati condemned the action, insisting that security is a fundamental right for all public officials and citizens and not a political weapon.
Is something beyond intimidation that you want to actually go ahead and cause us actual physical harm. It will have consequences.
With the United Opposition alleging that the government is planning to rig the by-elections across the country, all eyes are now set on the IBC to see if indeed they will conduct a free and fair election. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, SKM Center, Karen.
But before then, voting material has begun to be distributed to all 198 polling stations in Malava constituency as the IEBC completes its final preparations for the upcoming by-elections. 7 candidates will face off as voters go to the polls. And who do we have with that report, Ayub Abdikadir?
Melita Oletenges joins us live from Malava constituency in Kakamega County. Evening to you. Tenges, ideally, how has been the environment ahead of polling day tomorrow?
Good evening to you, Ayub and Olive.
the weight of expectation and anticipation ahead of tomorrow's vote is actually very, very palpable, as 98,000 or rather 94,417 voters in Malava constituency will be heading to different polling stations, 198 of them, and of course just to cast a vote that will go towards electing the leader that they desire to lead the constituency, which has been vacant following the death of Malulu Injendi, who was the member of parliament here. A heated contest over the last 2 months, pitting 7 contestants against each other, and we've seen also some of them withdraw from the race. Initially they were 9 and they've come down to 6 that will be on the ballot tomorrow. And of course we've seen a 2-horse race playing out all through, and this is between Seth Panyako of the DAPK party and David Ndakwa of the UDA party. So Ayub, already this evening we've had the IEBC constituency returning officer, that is Salim Abdallah Salim, speaking to us and telling us that already they have distributed the voting materials to all 198 polling stations across Malava constituency, which has 7 wards. And so tomorrow it's all systems go really, as we will be waking up as early as 6 a.m. in the morning at the polling station just to look at how the voters will be casting their vote, as well as how the process will be going on throughout the day. But also it's important to mention that security has been bolstered across the constituency. We've had reports, minor reports really, of chaotic scenes during the campaign trail, but right now we've seen police swinging into action, and security has been bolstered, and lots of moving around in the constituency by the police officers, and men in uniform also will be manning the polling stations, 2 police officers per polling station, just to ensure, Ayub and Olive, that everything runs smoothly throughout the day. Tomorrow, Ayub, of course, we expect action in the polling stations, and of course later on where we will have the tallying of the votes after the voting process throughout the day. And that will bring us now to the climax of the events that have been unfolding for the past 2 months, and that is finally knowing who is the winner. And of course tomorrow there will be triumph, and as well as political lessons learnt in humility, because there must be a winner and there must be a loser. So we will be waiting to see the results of all that as how it plays out tomorrow. So Ayub, tomorrow we are keen on the Form 35A, which will be signed at the polling stations. And then we will be having Form 35B, which will be signed at the Constituency Tallying Center by the returning officer Salim Abdallah Salim. And thereafter, we shall be having the Form 35C, which is essentially the certificate that will be handed over to the winner of the poll. Ayub.
Melita, thank you. Olive. We have seen heavy deployment of security officials across the constituencies, the Senate, under the ward by-elections. Does this suggest or point to fears of violence on polling day tomorrow?
Well, it doesn't point to fears about polling day tomorrow, Ayub. What it does is to indicate that we are taking the requisite steps to ensure that we attain the requirements of Article 81 of the Constitution, which gives us the mandate to conduct all elections under certain general principles. And key of these general principles is that there will be free, fair elections without undue pressure to the voters, intimidation, harassment, corruption, or any other form that may negative the freedom to participate in political decisions pursuant to Article 38. So we are mobilizing those security teams with a clear mandate to make sure that we attain what it is that the Constitution, the Elections Act, The IBC Act and all the regulations therein mandate us to do so. It is not about fear, my brother.
Yeah, and given what we witnessed in Mbeere North in Embu County, the roadblocks that were mounted, what is the IBC's position? Was this done in consultation with you, and why then, for instance, Mbeere North and not in Malava roadblocks?
Look, we are an independent commission, but we are interdependent to the extent that there are services which you rely on other government agencies, and the National Police Service is such agency. They have the benefit of understanding intelligence regarding security matters.
Yes, please, proceed. Yeah, I think there is a communication breakdown. Yes, Daktari, can you hear me?
Yes, but I can hear Manuel Toh describing what is happening in Embu and the roadblocks. So he's speaking over me.
Yeah, apologies for that. Now you can proceed, please. We have sorted that out.
Thank you. So I was responding to a question as to whether the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has sanctioned or is aware of why the roadblocks in Embu. Look, we are an independent commission to the extent that we execute our mandate without any direction or interference from anybody. But we are also interdependent in the sense that we rely on other state agencies to be able to effectively undertake our mandate. So in this regard, when it comes to the police and the safety, they have the benefit of having access to intelligence information. So if the roadblocks are informed by the intelligence information, really we cannot come in their way, as long as the role is to ensure that we have free, fair and peaceful election devoid of intimidation. That must be the overriding objective of such actions by the police.
Let's come to the allegations raised by the oppositions, and they have decried compromised commissioners in letters addressed to the commission, and to be specific, the former deputy president. How independent are your officials ahead of tomorrow's by-elections?
You know, in my other life, I was a media analyst, and I would have plenty to say if that is the life I was in. Regrettably, I'm now a commissioner, and I have limitations as to how much I should engage in some of these debates. Be it as it may, I think IBC has clear guidelines on how to handle complaints regarding their conduct or complaints regarding candidates or any other participant in the political process where the rules are flouted. We have no complaint against any one of us with evidence to show that we are not independent. And therefore, because most of these complaints are coming from our political leadership, we cannot engage in a duel against our political leadership. Clearly, that is not an even fight, and there is no need for a fight. All I can say is that we remain independent, we are doing our job, and let the citizens judge us from what we deliver. For as long as we deliver free, credible elections, I think some of these complaints we hear will go down. But in the context of the election law, we have no official complaints about anything except what we received from Kasipul, and which we dealt with. So there are a myriad of complaints out in the social media space, in the mainstream media space, but no actual complaint that has arrived us processed with evidence. Where it has arrived at us and there is no process evidence, the chairperson has responded and dealt accordingly. I thank you.
And the former Attorney General, who also happens to belong to the opposition corner, Justin Muturi, said he was concerned with the presence of plain-clothed police officials in polling stations ahead of elections tomorrow. Is that a concern as well for the Commission?
I do not know the evidentiary value to that kind of allegation. Again, the trouble with us as IBC, we cannot go out there and appear to respond to things that are not verifiable, things that actually it will be difficult to to authenticate and attach probative value to some of those allegations. Look, we know that there are sections of the security which, by law, they are never uniformed. That much we know. So to say these ones were here, they were not uniformed, we have no way of knowing who was there and was not uniformed. In any case, the process of voting hasn't started, it's starting tomorrow. So if any member of the public, including our political leadership, for whom we must once again emphasize that we have no role completely in engaging in any duel, it is not right, this is our political leadership. That kind of evidence must be brought to us because we stand for fairness. Whether you're on the government side or you're on the opposition side, the Constitution says we must be fair.
Yeah, talking about fairness, the Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen in Kasipul today said that no members of the public will not be allowed in polling stations. In your view as an advocate as well, how appropriate is it given the transparency issues we have around our elections?
The general election regulations promulgated in 2012 as amended in 2017 guide how access to the polling centers may be regulated. Regulation 62 specifically gives mandate to the polling station officer on who may be admitted into a polling station. Now, those who are clearly identified by the law as to who may be admitted is, number one, the candidate, the agents who are accredited, observers, election officials, and police officers on duty. I underline, police officers on duty. Regulation 63 goes ahead now to decide how the voting process will be conducted. And again, the polling station officer has the mandate and power under that Regulation 63 to allow specific people to come into the center. A voter gets admittance on the basis that he's coming in or she's coming in to vote. Once that voter votes, that admittance ceases. And it's for a good reason, Ayub. If you allow voters to vote and mill around the polling center, what will happen is that eventually we'll have a crowd building up. And this crowd will be not only composing of one political inclination, you'll have crowds of another political inclination. Before you realize, the presiding officer, with only 2 police officers there, will be faced with the problem of crowd control. There is a reason why, for instance, campaigns stop 48 hours before the election. And it's because we do not want crowds around polling centers. There is also a reason, Ayub, why this regulation bars anybody who is wearing a badge supporting any political party or anyone who comes in and it is clear there is an indication that he espouses this support and ideals of a particular political party. The officer in charge of the station has a right to make sure that person leaves. So apart from agents and political observers and the others I've mentioned, there is no other officer who is allowed. Of course, observers include the medias, also who are media members who are accredited. So the pronouncement by the CS, without appearing to be backing what he said, I'm leaning on what the law says about admittance into the polling center, and the operative law is election regulations of 2012 as amended in 2017, regulations 62 and 63. As read together with Article 81 of the Constitution, which makes it mandatory for us to ensure that anybody who comes to the polling center walks in freely, votes in secret, and leaves without intimidation. When you have a crowd, this crowd is of the opposing candidate, how will that not be an intimidation to the other crowd or to the other voter? So I would like that issue to be seen in the context of the regulations as I've espoused. I thank you, Ayub.
And given what has happened in Baringo County and in Baringo South, the polling stations that are underwater, how will this present logistical challenges to you for the people of Baringo South also to take part in the election tomorrow?
Thanks for that empathy in your question, Ayub. That has already been sorted. This morning, the Commission was able to gazette fresh centers, and that is already, I think, it has been gazetted tonight. So there are new centers. All the citizens and the voters who are registered in those particular affected centers will have an opportunity to proceed and cast their ballot without any interference. The specifics will definitely be communicated to them. I'm aware that Commissioner Andere is in charge of Baringo, and that decision has already been made, and there should be no worry at all for the residents of Baringo in those affected areas.
Yeah. And Commissioner, one thing that has been very evident, and the common denominator has been with the build-up to the campaigns in this country, we are just talking about mini polls, is the violence that we had witnessed. And in your view, being a new commission, does this present you with challenges ahead of tomorrow, and has it been? And in your case, how have you overcome that hurdle, and what's the approach of the commission?
Believe you, some of the things we see out there, where we are not seeing. I'll be frank with you. I'm in Magarini. I have been here, and I'll be here by the time we finish the elections tomorrow and have the winner on 28th in the morning, God willing. I'll have spent a solid 10 days here. In Magarini, it is peaceful. The people of Magarini want nothing but to walk into the polling booth, cast their ballot, and go back to their daily chores. This talk about violence, impending theft of ballot boxes or whatever it is, we hear it in the media, we hear it in the social media space. But the ordinary person in Magarini, from where I've been, and as I've said, I'll be here for 10 days by the time I leave, are peaceful. We have not encountered a single incident of insecurity. By the way, I am covering not only Magarini, I'm also covering Chewani Ward in Hola in Tana River constituency. And again, I was there and I spoke to the entire security team, just like I've spoken to the entire security team here. And I am clear in my mind and confident that the people of Magarini and the people of Chewani will vote without any incidents. However, should there be any, we have taken adequate steps. We have enough security deployed. Today I had a meeting with the regional commander of the police in the Coast region, and we agreed that there will be enough layers, because when you hear some people talk about violence, about goons, you can't also ignore. So we have taken precautions. This applies to Magarini, and I'm sure I can speak for all the rest, because the chairman has already indicated that the same layer of security and precaution is everywhere. So I thank you, Ayub, for that question. But the truth is that the people in the areas of by-elections are not interested in violence. They are interested in voting and carrying on their lives.
Yeah.
Ayub, most Kenyans live humble lives. They don't want disruption.
Yeah. And Daktari, yes, you're right. The people are not interested in violence, but the political class is. And in an address to the people of Kenya in 2019, Wafula Chebukati also pointed this out, how the political violence has more or less had effect on electoral preparedness, the election itself, and also the post-election. Two instances in Narok County where we had seen violence breaking out, and also in Kabuchai for the ward by-election campaigns where gunfire was heard. Ideally, then, we are talking about mini polls, but generally this is certainly the environment, is it, heading into 2027? Then how will you immune yourself, this being the test for you?
Thank you, Ayub. Yes, it worries me, because the political leadership has a following. Those who believe in them believe in what they say. Never mind that the veracity of what they say may not be apt. And yet, when they make some of these remarks, the impact on the perception of their followers. So that must worry me, that must worry the Commission. We have pleaded, Ayub, that we are open as a Commission, and where we go wrong, if it is pointed out fairly and honestly, we are ready to make amends and chart a new way forward. But we are not ready, Ayub, to take too many body blows for things that are not necessarily correct. And so going into 2027, we plead with the political leadership that the success of IEBC cannot be in isolation. I hear too many complaints about IBC must do this, IBC must move this direction. But we forget that IEBC is not a one-stop solution for the issues that affect the electoral space. For example, IBC does not have a police station of their own. We have to rely on the police officers by the NPS to make sure that there's peace and tranquility when we have elections. So if we do our part, we will succeed if the police also do their part. We will succeed if the politicians also speak peace, speak truth, and speak cohesion. Because Kenya is one, we are not going anywhere else. We will succeed if the National Cohesion Commission does its bit. But most importantly, we will succeed if the citizens do their bit. Get out and vote, and not merely complain that your vote will be stolen. So, in totality, Ayub, to answer your question, it worries us that if some of this talk is not stopped, it may have a negative bearing on the perceptions of the citizens, and that may not augur well as we proceed into 2027. I plead with our political leadership that we must appreciate that IEBC cannot succeed on its own. Independent, yes, but interdependent we must, and that is where the rubber meets the road.
Daktari,
thank you.
Many thanks for your time here on the broadcast.
I thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. When we get back here on our special coverage of JK Live, we'll be back with the sports news, and Olive will tell you much more on what's been happening across the sporting nation. Stay tuned.